Now, let's talk about bad mom Crystal Lax, shall we? Now, by me dealing with CPS, that's why I can tell you the do's and the don'ts. Because some of you will be having an encounter with them, and you keep on neglecting, or some people call CPS on you out of spite. I had that stuff happen to me. So let me tell you something. If I was such a terrible bad mom, right? And CPS are social workers that went to school for years, right? They would not have gave me those damn kids back. They would have adopted all four of them in that damn system. Do you hear me? Are you hearing me? I got all four of my kids back, and then I got my first grandbaby back. They gave Sapphire back to me. So if I was such a bad person, and this was after I spoke to the judge, and the judge said, this is what the judge said to CPS. I don't want to hear y'all. I want to hear from Miss Lax. Miss Lax, how do you feel about Sapphire? I said, I don't have a lot of money. And I said, but I do believe that even if you feed a child biscuits and gravy, you are still feeding that child, and you are still taking care of the necessity of a child. And the judge says, well said. I said more, but he loved what I had to say, because what I had to say was from my heart. And I was being honest. I don't have a lot of money, but I do love my grandbaby, and I love my children. You understand? And the judge granted for Sapphire to come back to her grandmother. Are you understanding me? Are you understanding me? Don't you think that CPS is smart enough? We're talking about the good part of CPS. Don't you think they're smart enough that if those kids was really in serious danger, the hell no, they would never have given back my damn kids. But because I was willing, and this is the key, I was willing to go through their programs. You can't fight those people like that and then expect your kids to come back to you. You can't display anger. You understand? Because everything is used up against you. So that means that you know how hard it was for me to bite my damn tongue. Do you know how you see reports, and sometimes I had some bad social workers, honey. They would write down some derogatory, nasty ass words. Honey, they said that I was a notorious mother. And they say it about my girls too. So they have a habit of repeating the same words, okay? You could tell the corrupt ones from the good ones. Because let me tell you something. I had some good CPS workers that was fighting for me and the kids, okay? And there was times where I just felt like giving up because I had to fight them by myself. You understand? And they were saying some derogatory thing. And you know how that felt on me as a young mom that was taking care of her responsibility and working. And sometimes I had to leave my oldest son because childcare expenses got so bad on me. $450 a week for all four children. And I was only making $5.25 an hour. And that's the truth and nothing but the truth. And I think that's why people hate me, because all I could do is tell you the memory of the truth. You understand? That's all I was making as a single mother. You understand me? It's not out here where there was a lot of opportunities for me. I had to write President Clinton because it was so bad that that when the child care got bad, and my job wasn't meeting the child care costs, and then all the other bills that I had on me, I wrote President Clinton because I had to go on welfare. Sometimes you have to go on welfare in order to get help. But I listened to the older black people because they was like, baby, I'm going to tell you something about the older women. They said, baby, you wearing yourself out. They said, you need to go on down there to the welfare office, get on their program. And I said, no, I don't want to be on the welfare, right? I'm stubborn. I just want to work. They said, I know that, baby, but you wearing yourself, you working double shifts at it was at $3.35 an hour. Then minimum wage in Indiana went up to $5.25. Then they finally went up to $7.25. And then I started making $8 an hour. That was big money to me at $8 an hour back in the 80s and early 90s. You understand? As a certified nurse assistant in the state of Indiana. And even to this day, Indiana still have a low wage of what they pay people. They still get by off of $7.25 in some location. So at the end of the day, I finally went on welfare, but then they started pressuring you work from welfare to work. So then I was like, it's hard for you to go to work, because that's where I was having my problems at. I was losing my job because I couldn't find nobody to take care of the kids. And I didn't have enough money anymore to pay for $4.50 each kid. You know what I'm saying? Altogether. And this was at a discount rate. This was at discount. Was somebody giving me a deal. So then I wrote President Clinton. I lost my letter that he sent back to me over the years from all this moving. This is bad thing about moving around so much, because you lose things. I don't lost so many important documents and stack of awards and stuff that I achieved over the years. You understand? Overachiever. So at the end of the day, I wrote President Clinton, and I told him, I said, I spoke my mind as a single mother. And I said, it's hard for single mothers to go to work when they don't have proper childcare and transportation. All of a sudden, I'm not saying that my letter did it, but probably other mothers also was writing into him. And he wrote me a letter back, and it was a very nice letter, and he wished me on my future endeavor, just like Oprah. I wrote Oprah too. Okay, because I was going to tell Oprah about what happened to me at the age of 12, and I wanted to be on the show. Okay, so all of a sudden in the state of Michigan, because the reason why I moved from Indiana, see, some of my moves were so important, because in the state of Indiana, they didn't offer what the state of Michigan offered you. Now, in the state of Michigan for single mothers, what they offer you, they had a program set up where they will cover a car. They will buy a car for you. I actually got a car that the state of Michigan paid for so that you can go to work. You understand? They paid for your uniform. They paid for you to go to school. These are the things that I was looking for, resources. You understand? That's why I call myself moving to something better. Does that make sense to you? As a young mother, I'm in my 20s with 4 kids, and I was married. You understand? And when I went to the dad, Mr. Milton Lax Jr., when I went to him and I said, Milton, I said, I'm doing bad. I really am doing bad. And nobody in my family is helping me or want to help me. I said, I need you to take the kids for a while until I could get back on my feet. And this man told me, now I was his wife, married with kids. And he told me that you should go down to the South Bend, Indiana Family Shelter. That's where he referred me and the kids to. You understand? So I didn't even get help from the dad. And even with child support, he will work under the table. It took me 11 years to get child support out of him. And that was by force. They had to force him to give it to me. 11 years. So for all 11 years, I'm struggling hard. I'm struggling to pay regular rent because I never qualified for Section 8 because I started working, right? I started working in high school for a high school program. And that was at $2.90 an hour. Okay. And that was in the high school cafeteria. And you did that for extra credit so that you can graduate more earlier. So I took advantage of that program. And then after high school in 1986, I started working with my mom, Sandra Parker, and my aunt, Peggy Wim, at the same nursing home. It was called, at the time, Western Avenue Nursing Home. Okay. I started working I got my training there up under Mary Lou Burgess. She was the trainer. And my mom challenged me. Okay. She told me, I don't think that you got the patience to become a CNA. Right. And so I said, I don't like for nobody to tell me what I can't do. I don't like that. So I don't know if she did that to motivate me, but I went right on up there, signed up, and I participate in the class. Now, back in 86, you didn't have to pay all this CNA money. You just had to you had to stay with that nursing home for a year, and you got free training. So I worked as a nurse assistant for a long time, working double shifts at $3.25 an hour in the state of Indiana back in 86. You can always verify that by looking at it. You understand? Then our minimum wages finally went up to $5.25. Then it finally went up to $7.25. I started working for a temp service called Norrell Health and Kelly Services because my mom signed up with them, so I signed up. My mom and my aunt Peggy signed up with the agency, so did I. So we was working in the nursing home and through the agency. So I was doing double shifts. Sometime I would work in the nursing home, sometime I would work through an agency. So if I did 7 to 3 in the nursing home, then they would say, well, we got a shift for you. And I said, well, if I was doing a 6 to 2, then they said, well, this shift is 3 to 11. So I would pick that up. And sometime I would beg family. I had this one lady, when I bought this house at the age of 1812 Columbia Street in South Bend, Indiana. I bought it paid for in full with my dad trust fund money that he left for me. Okay. So there was a young lady that did babysitting around the corner. Okay. And I asked her, I said, with my oldest son, Anthony, I had Anthony at the time in 86. And I said, ma'am, I said, you do babysitting? She said, yes, I do. And okay. And then I said, well, I work in a nursing home and I need someone to take care of my son in the mornings, and I'll have his lunch. I'll have everything for him. I just need someone to watch him during those hours. And then, and she said, sure, no problem. Then I found out that the lady was mistreating my child, making him eat things up from the floor. And somebody came back and told me that. So I took him away from that, right? And then a couple of times, I would take him to his grandmother, his dad, Miss Ethan Stuckey, and they would watch him. They loved the hell out of Anthony. They fattened my baby up. Sometimes they would keep him for 3 months at a time for me because then I had Antoine. I got married. Then I had Antoine. And I was on birth control. I was on 21 days and I was on 28 days, and me and Mr. Lax still got pregnant. So I had Antoine. So what they did was took Anthony off my hand, and they kept Anthony for about 3 or 4 months for me. Okay. When Anthony came back, they had my baby so big, little small little football player, bow-legged as heck. And I was like, oh my God, what you did to my baby. But he was just so chubby and cute, right? And so Miss Ethan, she helped me with those months, and Miss Daisy, okay? They loved Anthony. They loved the heck out of Anthony, all right? That's big cornbread to those in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's big bread. And so me and Milton, we're married, and then I'm still on birth control, still getting pregnant. And so then I had Natisha, then I had to stop working in that area. And then we had Dominique, and then we had a breakup, a separation, and eventually had a divorce, and I'm out on my own. I sold my home. I'm going to tell you something. When I sold my home and I started renting, I started going downhill because I had to pay regular rent. I never could qualify out of all those years with the kids, 4 kids now. I never qualified for their Section 8. At one time, my cousin got me into the projects in Elkhart. They was shooting some of these moves that I make that everybody's sitting up here criticizing me about long time ago. But we're gonna go ahead and bust this in today, and I don't want to hear nothing else, because when you are a mother, a single mother or a single parent, and you got a split second to make, you understand? You have to make quick choices and decisions. Some of them are good, and some of them you just messed up. Okay? Now, they got me in the projects through my cousin, the Davis, on my mom's side, Miss Hattie Mae Davis. And she got me in. They shooting on the playground while your kids is playing on the playground, 2 black men's. Going at pow, pow, pow. You understand me? And then I had the little troublemaker, the gang bang. Her name was Angelique, and this is what she do. When she didn't like you, she would send her kids out to start stuff with your kids. Then she'd come out with a baseball bat. You understand me? So she didn't like me because I would get up. I would mind my own damn business. A zebra. I always got this saying. You listen to me. A zebra never can change its stripes. I am the same mind my business today as I was yesterday. I never got into people's business. I mind my business. I get up and do what I need to do. Now, you see how all of these people got my business out there on the internet. It always have been that way. They always have told me or said to other people, she thinks she better than us. She thinks she better than us. Zebra never changed the stripes, right? I'm not bothering nobody. Look how they got my business all over the internet. They did the same thing to me when I was that young mother. And they talked about, you see how they talking about me now? They did that when I had my 4 kids. And you know what I would do from the project? I'd get up, because I had to take the kids to daycare. And then there I was working at J.C. Penney's in Elkhart, Indiana. And I started working for Pastor Bob at Ollie Oops and Target. Okay? So I would just take my kids. Hey, Mama, I see that you got the 4 duckling. Say, hey, y'all, how y'all was doing? Now, these are women that get up early in the morning with their 40 ounces, sit out on the porch and don't do nothing all day but gossip and tear people down all day long, just like the people doing to me right now. So what I did is I spoke to them. I was never stuck up. Do I speak to people now? Yes, I do. A zebra never changed the stripes, right? I got up and I spoke. Hey, Mama, how you doing? You and your little baseball team, or the mama and her ducklings. That's what they used to say. She walk in front of them and they follow right on behind her, all 4 of them in a row, because I had them 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Babies was coming back to back. That's when I had my tubal ligation. We're going to have to stop this one after Dominique. I'm to tape it, cut it, burn it, everything. Okay? So I remember there was a big fight that happened between this Angelique girl. She sent those kids out to mess with my kids, because this is how it was. Do you want to hear from the horse's mouth, or do you want to hear from everybody else's words? Which one do you choose? This is how it went in Elkhart Projects. Why I left there. The kids started having a fight. There was a big fight. She did this. This was her MO when she wanted to start mess with their mother. Then she come out with a baseball bat. Well, the kids had a fight that day. She came out as what that's her pattern. and we was having words. Then she put her finger on my nose, and I balled up my right hand, and I hit her. And because I had small hands, she didn't think that it was going to sting heavy. So she said this. She said, "Oh, you a bad bitch, huh? You a bad bitch. I got something for you, right?" So she went in the house and got the baseball bat. You understand me? Then she had, I don't know if it was her cousin, his name was Pork Chop. He was a big, big black guy. And her and Pork Chop tried to fight me and my 4 kids, my 4 little kids. This big old dude. So I pepper sprayed him. He was like, and so me and Anthony, now me and my kids, we're in this project while they're trying to come in on us. And I'm throwing everything under the sun at them. I'm grabbing my knife, right? Okay. Anthony trying to help his mom. Okay. The kids trying to help. Okay. Now I grabbed my knife, and Angela was trying to hit me, and I stabbed her in the chest. And it was just that much from her heart. Okay. Now the police came. Okay. The police came out, and Pork Chop was saying, "Oh no, that's just me and my lady having a fight." I was like, I'm not in a relationship with them. I don't even know these people. They just started fighting me. They wanted to fight with me, right? Okay. Then the police ran a check on Angelique. Well, you know what they told me? They said that Angelique and her brother, or whoever he was from a Chicago gang. So I had gang members trying to fight me, a single mom. So I said, okay. After all that, they made threats to me. "Oh, we gonna get you. We gonna make sure that we get you. You ain't never gonna get away with this." Okay, that was the rest of the family, right? I'm just a single mom that had to defend myself and my 4 children. Okay, so they was like the bully of the projects, if you will. And so I said, out of fear for my children as a mother, I said, I need to get us up out of here. Bad enough they was going to Harrison Elementary. That's a all black school, and they kept fighting with my kids. You understand? And some of these was cousins on the Davis side. Okay? Because the Davis have a bad reputation of fighting each other. And that's been a family, it's like a normal generation, and I didn't want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to separate myself from that, because when I was little, I used to see families stab each other and blood and the ambulance coming as a young kid. You understand? Do you know I've been suffering from trauma for a long time? Okay, not too many people know my story. My story was I had the worst child abuse case in the state of Ohio, Richland County. That's what the CPS worker told me. And they was expecting me to turn out like my mom, if you will. That's how I should have turned out. And it seems like for years people have been trying to label me as she just like Beulah. They just like Beulah. They're crazy just like Beulah. She's crazy just like Beulah. Her daughters is crazy just like Beulah. And then now that I'm older and I'm a grown woman, and I sit back and I notice they wanted me to hate my mama for the rest of my life. But then I took in, God showed me this, and then my foster mother, Jessie Mae McNeil, she said, don't act like that about your mama, because there was some terrible things done to your mother. And then that stayed in my head as I grew older, now that I am a grown woman. And back then in Ohio, it was full of racism. You understand me? And the law still was not established as far as federal rights. And my family didn't know how to fight back. You understand me? They didn't know how to fight for Beulah. They really didn't. They still had a slave man mentality, as if they was still in the field. You understand? Okay. My grandmother, Emily Davis, beautiful woman, and she helped raise me, but she got sick and she had a stroke from watching all of her grandkids. That's another story. But I said I never wanted to be like my grandmother, being stuck in an apartment with all of your grandkids on you, if you will. Because they didn't care about her. They cared about her just being a babysitter, even when she was sick. Okay? And my grandmother, and I'm quite sure that some of your mothers or grandmothers would be the type to stay up all in the middle of the night, ironing and cooking, preparing for the next day. You understand? Yeah, getting things in preparation. That's what they did. And she only did what she was taught, if you will. But she was a sewer. She was a seamstress, and she ain't need no pattern. She could just look at an outfit, and Emma Lee Davis was making people clothes. You understand? My grandmother was well talented. My mother was a singer, but she was a woman that just God just poured all type of talents on her. It's like she could play every instrument under the sun. She could sing. Oh, my mother got a singing voice. Oh my gosh, it sounds like an angel voice. Okay. And then she was an artist. She could just draw. She could just draw you. You understand? She was just gifted and beautiful as a dark-skinned black woman. You understand? But now I look back, and I know she did me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But then when I look back, I had to also see things from her time and what she was going through. You understand? And that the family didn't know how to fight for her. Okay? Because they didn't know how to fight for themselves in a very racist town. Okay? Mansfield, Ohio. Okay? Now we're going to Mansfield, Ohio. This is where Mansfield, Ohio white police officer beat my dad. And he was in the newspaper back in the late 70s. Leon Wims. The Wim boys was beaten by Mansfield, Ohio Police Department. That's why I don't like going back there. It's bad memories. Okay? And they brutalize. Well, you guys see what they do to people now. So you can imagine back in the days where still there was not tough laws about it. You understand? Like they starting to get tougher. Okay. So my dad had a incident, okay, at the age of 35, and he had heart problems as well. And I remember being there. We had just helped his girlfriend, Sarah, move into her new place from the King's apartment, because we all used to live in King's apartment in Mansfield, Ohio. All the family, we always stayed together, so there was no such thing as homelessness back then, okay? You went to a cousin, auntie, uncle. You always had a family to go to, right? There was no such thing as homelessness in our family, right? So we moved Sarah over to her new location. Then I remember we had just got finished moving. I was sitting on the edge of the couch watching TV. And then somebody came in and said, "Crystal, your dad." And I'm 12 years old at this point, right? I said, "What about my dad?" Because this is what happened. I was in the CPS system. Once you turn 12 years old, CPS have to make a choice decision. So they took me away from Jessie Mae McNeil, rest in peace, because now she passed on, but the best foster mother they could have ever made a good decision, and I didn't want to leave her. But because I was turning 12, they had to make a choice and decision. You understand? So they said either my dad could take me in or put me in a group home. Okay? Everybody know about that if you've been in the system. Okay? So like they're trying to do to my grandbaby right now. Okay? So they gave me to my dad, but that incident happened. It wasn't a good 6 months of being with my dad, right? So So my dad had custody of me. And my dad probably had some problem, but he made sure that every holiday, because Grandmama Susie Wim, she wouldn't let him go a day or any holiday without buying that girl something. You go get my grandbaby something. And every holiday, I always got a new Easter dress or Christmas dress. That was one thing about my daddy. You understand? And and so they said, Crystal, your dad. And I said, what? I said, what about my dad? And he said, come on. And so we ran down the alley, and you see, it was like getting nighttime, right? So we ran down, and you seen the sirens and the lights and everything. And so when I got to the place, it was like everybody gathered around, right? And then I seen my dad on the ground, and when you're having a heart, now I know what a heart attack feel like, right? And so, it have you like this, gasping for air, right? And I said, somebody help my dad, because I'm 12, I'm going on 12 at this age, somebody help my dad, right? And so the police, I'm down on my knees. I remember it like it was yesterday. And the back in the days, the white cops wore these hats, okay, uniform, but a hat. And so he had a hat on, and he had blue eyes. And I said, somebody help my dad. And I was crying, and I was looking up at him. And he looked at me, and he turned around to the white EMTs, right? And he said, let the nigger die. And that's exactly what happened with my dad. Okay. How did I end up in South Bend, Indiana? Well, CPS had to find me another place. So they had to bring me to his sister, Sandra Parker, in South Bend, Indiana. That's my blood aunt, my biological aunt. Okay? And that's how I ended up there. And that's how I got raped at the age of 12 by her husband. And I'm just going to leave it like that. That's for another time. So we had this thing about Angelique. Now we're going back to Elkhart, okay? We had this thing about Angelique. And so it's like they kept bothering us. Even after that big fight, even after the arrest, they kept, now they wanted to retaliate because she got arrested. And you don't know what kind of family, one of those black family that keep on bothering you and keep messing with your kids. So it's like, I might have to get me and my kids up out of here. Okay? Not that I was afraid of them, because if I had to stab people again, I would have. Okay? But because, okay, I started going to Pastor Bob church. Somebody invited me to his church. And he was a down-to-earth blue jean and t-shirt drummer, not drama, but drummer, played the drums in the church, right? Just cool, laid-back pastor. And I remember meeting him, and he said, Crystal, do you believe that Jesus could come to you in jeans and t-shirts? Like, yep, Jesus could come anyway. He said, very well said. And Pastor Bob had these most piercing eyes where you could tell he was just genuine. You couldn't even lie in his presence. Like he Jesus himself, if you will, right? I'm not comparing him to Jesus, but just his aura, if you will. So we started going through Pastor Bob church, and I told him about the event over there in the project. So Pastor Bob got together with the church people, and they helped me to get into a new place. It was a duplex right around the corner from the project, but it was not in the project. Well, guess what? Angelique and the rest of the people, and there were some white people involved too. They found out where my kids was at. Guess what started all over again? Exactly. Drama. Trouble. So I said, remember, I'm a parent, a young mother. And in this area, anybody know about Elkhart? Young kids would get shot over tennis shoes. That's why they started the uniform. I'm quite sure people that lived in areas like that, they mandated uniforms and certain shoes for the kids to wear so they wouldn't be getting jacked for their shoes and their clothing. Okay, you got on Jordan, we want those Jordans. You got on this, okay. So it was not a good area, period, altogether. Even that location that they moved me around the corner, I do thank the church. It's something that I'll never forget. But I had to go. Yep. I had to get my kids up out of it. You understand? If I'm in a bad neighborhood, if I was in a bad neighborhood, I would not linger alone. Matter of fact, I would get up and leave every damn thing in that apartment. Because I always believed that what God gave me, God always have a way of giving it back to me. You understand? But as a mom, I wanted my kids to have better. Is that okay? Does that make me a bad mom? Because I moved from bad areas? Are you understand? I'm not talking about superficial people. I'm telling you the truth about my story. And I'm talking about realistic people. It was a bad environment, so I got up and I moved. And then Pastor Bob didn't want me to leave. So the way that I left the church, it broke his heart. But I try to explain to him, Pastor, these people won't stop. They keep bothering the kids and myself. And Pastor was like, well, he was like trying to defend me. Like but it's like, Pastor, it's deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? So what I had to do, they gave me a van. The pastor had a restaurant called Ollie Oop. They hired me at Ollie Oops. They had me also cleaning out churches and the office so that I can make money. And he gave me a church van so I can have a way to get around with the kids. Pastor and the church was wonderful. Okay. But because of that situation, I had to get up and go. So what I did was I left the keys to the van at a certain location. I said, Pastor, I called him and he tried to talk me out of it. And I said, this is why I'm calling you, because I knew that you was going to try to call me. You was going to try to talk me out of it. But this situation is really major that I got to get these people are making threats and my kids is at jeopardy. So I got to get me and my kids up out of this, if you will. Okay. So he tried to talk me out of it. And I said, Pastor, I love you. And I thank you for everything that you've done for me and my children. But I got to go. Okay. And so he was heartbroken. He was heartbroken from it. Right. But as a parent, I felt like that was the best move for me. Okay. So people always, I'm 55, guys. This year I'm going to be 56. Hear me out. I'm 56. They still bringing up, you moved here and there with your kids, but they did not know the circumstances. Not even my own family, or sometime it was my family, cousins. They would say, oh, that's y'all cousin. She ain't no cousin to me. Look how ugly they are. This is blood now. This used to be blood family. They used to say this to other people. They ain't my cousin. They would deny my children being kin to the Davis side. And Elkhart, all up in there. They ain't my cousin. Ugh. Okay? This blood now. So even some of my family was so nasty and ugly to me and my kids. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Shaka Zulu. You remember how the people of the village did him and his mother? They basically outcast him. I was so outcast. I was so black sheep of the family, if you will. Me and those kids. All you hear, and you probably hear it today, I guarantee you, a zebra, even your enemies never change their words and the stripes. I guarantee you, I was always that woman and this woman. Girl, do you know what that woman is doing now? Girl, look at that woman. I was always that woman. Girl, this lady done went and did this. That was their gossiping. And I guarantee you, they got the same gossiping pattern. Zebra never changed the stripes, right? Exactly. So they probably don't step their game up because now they can do it on the internet. Girl, look at her. Look at her, girl. What, do she think she pretty? Look at her. Ha 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 ha. These are black women. No white people. And Pastor Bob was white. It was a mixture church, but the people that helped me was white. Was white. It was the black people that was trying to fight me. It was the black people that was trying to hurt my kids. It was the black people that was saying evil and wicked words against me. Bad enough. And then there was time where I had the KKK. But at the end of the day, it was mainly black. It was mainly black people talking so much mess about me. Black family members. You understand me? And it seems like the part of my black family, they got a kick out of seeing me call on them and beg them for help. Yes, I would. I was scared in my 20s. 4 kids. I had to go find a place to stay because I would work temp service job. And anybody know about temp service job? Those assignments were in. And then sometimes it'll leave you in a hole for 2 weeks. Am I telling the truth? Or even more. And you could be signed up with 3, 4 of those mugs. And all of a sudden, all of them don't have no work assignment for you. Am I right? Okay, then let's be truthful here. Let's be real. Because even some of you right now in 2023, you're signed up with all kind of temp service and they still don't have no work. Am I telling the truth? Okay, let's keep it real. Okay. Now they would talk about me. So I'll go to a family member in Ohio. You're going to see if you really do it. Did she live in Ohio? Yep. Did she live in Columbus? Yep. Who was my sister Aisha? Yep. Did you give them money? Yes, I did. Did you give them food stamp? Yes, I did. The same thing that they see me doing at my son's place, Lashelle Lax. I did the same thing at Aisha and my other family members. And you know what they would do? Tell the truth and shame the devil, shall we? They will wait until, because when I shop, anybody that knows when I shop, I shop. And especially when there's more people in the house. And there was a lot of kids up in the house. Between Aisha kids, my kids. So I used to leave the store with 3 carts of food, right? Load up, right? Because I used to get good food stamps back in the days. For 4 kids and myself, right? So I would use my kids' food stamp to bring food for everybody in the house. Everyone. Are you understanding me? And you know what they would do? Because they was eating on noodles and little bologna, to get by. So I brought meat. I brought bags of rice and noodles and beans and stuff to make sure that if we run out of everything else, at least we got some beans and rice and noodles and macaroni. You understand? That's going to stick to a kid's rib. You heard me? That's how I shop. And plenty of canned goods. I used to fill up plenty of canned goods. Now, if Aisha be truthful, she going to be truthful. Then at first when I moved there, of course, I didn't have a job. So I was in the process of looking for work. I would clean the house. I didn't want to just lay around, if you will. I ain't never been a person to just lay on people. I never been a person to not try to give something back. You understand? They have lied on me. They have made it seem as if I was a freeloader, knowing that I was looking for help like I am now. I got heart problems. I got heart problems and I had strokes. And they have been looking for any type of reason